Now, the rand is under renewed pressure. On Wednesday, when Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana delivered the budget speech, the local currency was trading at around 18.90 to the dollar. It has weakened since then and was trading at around 19.30 a short while ago. To discuss the currency's fortunes in the coming days, we're joined by Stanlib chief economist Kevin Lings. Thanks so much for your time this evening, Kevin. We do appreciate it. What do you think has contributed to, I don't want to say the rand's volatility, but what do you think has contributed to this?
Thanks, Heidi. I think the main contribution seems to be an unease with some of the decisions that were made in the national budget, in particular government or national treasury decision to access the revalued foreign exchange reserves that are held at the Reserve Bank. And I think the extent of that access, 150 billion, I think that was bigger than expected, coupled with the fact that we haven't seen enough fiscal reform accompany that access. In other words, government hasn't announced measures that would stop them getting back into very high debt levels. And I think there's generally an unease internationally and locally about that access.
So you've mentioned the fact that the gold reserve obviously had some sort of impact on how the rand was performing. Do you think that that and other issues from the budget speech, but also the ANC's manifesto this weekend, had some sort of impact?
Sure. So the fact that we're going into a national election, that makes people obviously a little bit jittery. But I'm not convinced that that on its own is necessarily a big factor. We've known about the election for some time. There's nothing peculiar about this particular election. A lot of countries around the world are facing their own election. So I'm not convinced that the election itself would necessarily have caused this weakness. Also, when you look at the rand's weakness last week or during the past week, it's really in contrast with what's happening to other emerging markets. South Africa last week, the rand was the worst performing emerging market currency.